So we're back for another great Dark Beyond card review. Today we got some pretty sick Hunter cards, kicking off here with Gorm the World Eater, a 3-mana 12/12 beast with Dormant for 5 turns. At the end of your turn, destroy the minion to the right of this to awaken 1 turn sooner. So this gives me a little bit of that like a Slagmaw the Slumbering vibes. You guys remember this dude from Warrior? You wanted to excavate him to get him to wake up faster. This card was not great. It even got buffed, and I don't think I've still ever seen that card actually played, despite the Excavate Warrior cards getting played quite a bit. So like, does that mean Gorm is doomed? And I would say no. I don't think so, because Gorm's like speed up ability here is not really a requirement so much as a bonus, because you're obviously going to want to run this with some Death Rattle cards. And in fact, we're going to see an insane new Death Rattle card. I think this card is absolutely busted. The Extraterrestrial Egg. It is basically in a Ruby and Egg 2 cost, but Death Rattle summon a 3/5 beast that attacks the lowest health enemy. That is just way better than a Ruby and Egg. The Ruby and Egg is one of those cards that has been good for a long time. That's just kind of the best like egg summon a big thing card. This will absolutely replace Ruby and Egg, because the 3/5 that attacks immediately is fantastic. You're still getting the same total stat outputs, but you're getting that immediacy, reactivity, potentially face hits. You know, if they're on an empty board and this goes off, boom, summon a 3/5 immediately and hit them a ton. So with cards like that and other Death Rattles potentially to go with Gorm, you've got yourself here a way to just get these Egg-style cards moving and going and creating a ton of tempo, and then you've still got this 12/12 payoff. Does it have, you know, like Rush Taunt like the Slagmaw right now? No, but it's still just a really big body, and I think the ability to just keep throwing stuff into Gorm and just keeping up the pressure alongside potentially other Death Rattle synergies and payoffs that you might weave into that kind of package makes this an enabler and an eventual threat, as opposed to a threat with a requirement. And I think that enabling aspect is nice. I also confirm this does not continue to destroy things after it has been summoned, so you're not like trapped with this forever, you know, like, oh, well, eventually I want to play real cards that aren't Death Rattles, you know. That's okay. Once this wakes up, you've kind of fed it enough, it will stop destroying only while it's dormant. That said, you know, if your 12/12 is like sticking around into future turns, you know, maybe you're in a good spot, right? Maybe it's not really quite so bad. So I don't know, man. I think this is actually pretty cool. I think this is the kind of thing you could slot into a Death Rattle deck and not be too mad about it. This curve, even, you know, play this on 2, it just sits there a minute. You play this on 3, you know, you're activating this 3/5, you're reacting to your opponent's like 3/3 or whatever they summon on turn 3, and you're just off to the races for future turns to do cool stuff. So I think this is a good mix of threat, beast, Death Rattle synergy. I think Gorm here actually has a pretty good chance to get played. So circling back to the Extraterrestrial Egg, I'll just say I think this card's very good. The Ruby and Egg has been good, and this is just better. So this card is very fantastic. Moving on to another little package here for Hunter this set. This is Exarch Niel, a 3-mana 3/4 Draenei with Battle Cry. Replace your hero power with Tracking, and that is a 1-mana hero power that allows you to discover a card from your deck. And that is an absolutely busted hero power. Tracking is a fantastic card. Keep in mind, this adds the card to hand, so it's also just 1 mana, draw 1. Like, it's just way better than the Warlock's hero power, because you're not only drawing a card for less, you're not taking damage, you're also getting to pick what it is out of those 3 choices. So, I mean, this will just always be the best hero power in the game. Maybe there's like some hero powers, I guess, time to time, but for what's in standard right now, this is just the best hero power in the game. And we're not done, because we're actually going to see cards that support this even more. The Rangari Scout, after you discover a card, get a copy of it. Again, that's discover on your hero power, right? So now, whatever awesome card you're picking that you want, you can potentially get multiples of those. We're still not done. You also got detailed notes. Discover a beast that costs 5 or more. Reduce its cost by 2. So, you know, you can set up a turn where you're basically Rangari Scout for 1. Use your hero power. That's 2 mana. Use your detailed notes. That's a 4 mana turn. That's you've still spent no mana basically, and then you're gonna get 2 discounted beasts, and you're gonna get 2 cards from your tracking, whatever those are, right? Like, so you basically just generated 4 things that are probably very, very good. And then we're still not done, by the way. Alien Encounters. This is a 5-mana spell. Summon 2/5 beasts with taunt. Cost 1 less for each card you discovered this game. We've also got this payoff here to summon some 2/5 taunt bodies to like recover any tempo you lost. You're like, okay, kind of took a down turn 3. Not a bad turn to take a down turn, by the way. Like, usually these kind of things punish you more. Go to 5, 6 down the road, you know, 4, 5, 6 are more punishing. Maybe you took a little bit of a down turn 4, you know, because you're kind of discovering stuff. But then your turn 5, like boom, a couple alien encounters or alien encounter plus a thing. You've started to stabilize behind these taunts. So I think, oh no, that's not it. There's also the Parallax Cannon, but this is the least exciting of the Discover package. 3 mana, 2/3 weapon, has +2 attack if you've discovered this turn. Spell Burst, your hero is immune this turn. So you could also use this as a bit of a kind of board clear maintenance card if you need to. Then you get 1 tick of the immune, so you can kind of trade in safely on that Spell Burst. Otherwise, you know, maybe this is often a 4/3. A 4/3 weapon is, by the way, pretty aggressive. You could go face with this a lot, but I think the Discover package is lending itself towards a slightly slower game plan. You know, just in general, like I'm playing a 3-cost card that's not really aggressive. I'm kind of pivoting into a value plan almost, getting some cards I'm trying to play in the mid-game, basically. I don't think you want to use this as aggressively, which is why it's kind of the least fitting of all these. That said, you might still run it because it's just like efficient output, and Luminity does perhaps help keep you alive a little bit, because you can have like an Alien Encounters Parallax Cannon sort of turn where you really stabilize, take a trade on something bigger while immune, play some 2/5 taunts, then you're like off to the races for the late game. Definitely a possibility that gets played like on turn 5 or something after, you know, maybe an Alien Encounter comes down to whatever. So that's this Discover package, right? And I actually think this is really, really good. Exarch Niall is just completely busted. I actually think you could even play this in really fast decks. I don't think this necessarily has to be played in a committed Discover package. I think almost any Hunter deck can actually just run this card. Even aggressive decks might be willing to give up a turn 3 because this tracking is so nuts. It can find you damage reliably. Like if you get to that turn like 5 or 6 as an aggro deck, and you just need that final little push, this helps you find it, right? This is the damage you need. This is the threat you need. The tracking just, it sands off a lot of rough edges when it comes to drawing the things you need in a deck that's often very low curve. So I'm not surprised if Niall just goes in every Hunter deck forever. Like, you might say, well, doesn't an aggro Hunter really want the 2 damage on the base hero power ranges? It's like, yes. So it's like, that's where it's questionable. But I still think tracking, finding you cards that do damage is better than aggro power that is stuck doing damage. Not to mention, it's just cheaper to leave in. So I still think it's aggro. Everybody else is like obvious to me, like you gotta run this. It's just gonna be worth it in any other Hunter deck. And aggro, I still think it's gonna be worth it. Now, as far as the rest of this package, it is definitely a little bit more value-oriented than Hunter has traditionally been. We've had some more mid-rangey Hunters. There's been some Reno Hunter lists lately that as well can go kind of more mid or have a few late game cards to top things off. So this is asking a little bit of a shift for Hunter, but I think these cards are just really efficient. Like, you know, this wasn't a 2 or 3 mana card. It's a 1 mana card. I think that offers a lot of flexibility. And the things you're generating, you know, you're getting like big discounted stuff that's really going to help you push in the mid game. This becomes a really powerful mid-game tool as you've started to discount it because you create some nice little swings on board. So I think this actually does fit into mid-rangey Hunter lists, which gives it some real option. Not to mention, you know, getting a copy of like kill commands. Dang, okay, shoot, that's actually pretty nuts, right? Exarch Niall, I got tracking, I find a kill command, I've got 10 damage in kill commands, 5 extra thanks to the Rangari Scout for only 1 mana. I think that's flexible enough to get played. So basically, as you go, these probably all get a little bit less exciting to me, but I think these first 4 Discover cards in particular look really nice. Parallax Cannon doesn't look bad to me either, it just looks fine. So I think this is actually pretty great. I think this package seems really strong, especially the first 2 cards seem kind of nuts. Moving on to the Starship package for Hunter, we got some stuff here too. Biopod this minion's attack to a random enemy. And then we get a look at the Hunter's starship art. So again, starship piece, refresh here if you haven't watched a review or thought about this in a minute. When the biopod dies, you'll start assembling your starship. The biopod will be one of the pieces of the Hunter starship, which means it will gain its base stats, and it will gain this death rattle, which this death rattle, definitely not very exciting on the biopod itself. You know, like deal 2 to a random enemy. That's unlikely to be super relevant. Can hit face, can like clean up a little body or something, but might just hit a 3/3 and feel kind of weird sometimes. Do keep in mind though that is going to be scaled up on the starship because you're going to be adding additional stats into the mix. We've got another starship piece here. We'll just show you another 2/6, and then the base neutral starship pieces as well. We had like a 3/2, and then I guess it was another 2/6 if I remember right, or 2/5. So getting the starship piece up to 6+ attack, 8 attack becomes fairly reasonable given all these starship pieces. Then your starship has, death metal, deal damage equal to attack, but it's 8 damage or something, or more than that. Now, notably, there's a little bit of a kind of anti-synergy of sorts here. If you decide to go for like a hand buff package and buff up the biopod, the starship does not gain the buff stats of the biopod. It's only ever gaining the base stats. If you made this a 5/5 because you really want this to scale well with its attack, that's fine. The starship's still only going to get 2/2, so it's not like you're kind of double dipping on that. The starship will still eventually get bigger because you're just getting more starship pieces, but you're not going to get those buffs mixed into the starship as well. I will also note, the way this is written, it's hitting a single enemy, not multiple enemies split amongst them. It's not like arcane missiles, it's a one big chunk, which is kind of a risk of the starship because it could just hit a 1/1 or something instead of 8-10 damage going to face, which is where you might want to do it. So that does feel a little bit clunky to me, and the space minion is a little bit clunky to me. The specimen claw is more interesting. This is a 3-mana 2/6. After your opponent plays a minion, attack it. So this is kind of cool, right? Because suddenly your starship becomes this really nice defensive tool where it's like, hey man, this thing's got 8-10 attack or whatever, like we said. It actually might have divine shield based on the neutral starship piece, and it's like the opponent's trying to play cards and they can't. The starship is just sniping them off, and it's gonna have potentially a lot of health too. If you got 2 of these, you're already at 12 health. This might be able to eat 3 or 4 things, and then the opponent still has that problem of the biopod. It's like, well crap, I can't establish a board because it keeps eating all my stuff. If I'm not careful, this death rattle is actually going to go face, and it's gonna be by my own hand because I can't stick any minions. So there is that kind of possibility. I do think that's still ultimately susceptible to removal. Just one handy removal spell deals with the starship. We've got that tech card that just deletes starships as well. So I don't know how reliable that will be, but you could imagine some pretty high friction scenarios where you just get a starship down, it's healthy enough, and it's got just enough attack to keep cleaning up minions in essence. But then kind of using the starship yourself, it's not really gonna have the strongest output. Like we saw the druid starship, you're creating all these crazy arcane spell outputs and silliness with arcane spells. It feels like a win condition of sorts in some ways. I don't see this starship really feeling like a win condition so much as like a supplementary piece that helps you solve problems of your opponent's cards. Obviously that can lead to wins, but it's not independently driving a game plan necessarily. So these are cool. I guess that means that this is definitely, maybe a filler package of sorts. This goes into other decks, and you just, you run 6 cards for your starship or something. Oh, we didn't talk about laser barrage, but here's another starship support synergy piece. 2-mana spell, deal 3 damage to a minion. If you're building a starship, also damage its neighbors. That is not the starship's neighbors. That's kind of confusing because that's in one sentence. That's the neighbors, obviously, the targeted minion. So this is another kind of defensive control tool. Like we said, this is almost a defensive weapon, this starship. It's all about dealing with your opponent's board, which is interesting. Now this is building a starship, not assembling a starship, so these aren't really going counter to each other. This is while you're getting there, and then once you get there, your starship is going to be cleaning up your opponent's stuff. So maybe this is just a complementary defensive tool while you're doing discover stuff. Okay, I'm just getting the starship going. I'm eventually going to win off discover value and, copying some crazy thing, whatever it might be. And I'm I'm just using the starship to kind of stay alive against aggro and against minion-based decks, that's a possibility. Yeah, I just, you know, don't plan this to like win games all on its own is what I'm saying. But you know, maybe it's just good enough as a 6 to 8 card package that you know, you weave into your deck. I do worry though that might get left behind for just other things that are more reliable, because this does take, you know, some commitment from cards, and it's a big commitment from a deck standpoint as well. But if you like don't find these early and you're just playing discover things or whatever other primary game plans your deck has, I don't know you'll be happy that your starship pieces kind of show up here and show up there, and you're just kind of limping along until you get a solid starship sort of put together. Whereas, you know, if I think about like the Druid starship, they're really in on arcane spells. It feels like, hey, I'm committing to arcane spells. I got a lot of arcane spell support. Everything I do for my starship is going to eventually pay off and help me win the game. Don't know if you'll feel that way necessarily about the Hunter starship. So anyway, that wraps it up for our Hunter review. This one actually went really fast compared to normal. I think I just kind of talked about it as packages almost more than cards. So anyway, we're going to rate all these cards from 1 to 5 stars. Gorm the World Eater is a 4-star card. Extraterrestrial Egg is a 5-star card. Exarch Niel is a 5-star card. Rangari Scout is a 4-star card. Detailed Notes is a 4-star card. Alien Encounters is a 4-star card. Parallax Cannon is a 3-star card. Biopod is a 3-star card. Specimen Claw is a 3-star card. Laser Barrage is a 3-star card. And that's the Hunter set, man. I think it's pretty good. I actually think there's a lot of pieces to work with here. The Discover stuff, I could see these two cards maybe ending up in the 3-star territory. I was kind of debating between them, but I gave them the nod because it seems like Niel is so good and the Scout is so good. You're gonna want to run these to kind of help us, you know, sort of sync all that together. So anyway, I like Gorm as well. I suspect some people will not like this one as much as me, but I think it's gonna be pretty nice. Just having a way to get those death rattles going, and you know, a 2-mana 3/5 that attacks immediately is an insane card, and this is what makes it insane, right? Like, obviously other ways to activate and synergize with death rattles, but you want a critical mass of that. So anyway, I like this Hunter set. It looks pretty great to me. So share your thoughts on all these cards down in the comments below. Thanks much as always for watching, and until next time, game on.
You only got 1 day left, huh? You done the one, you just gotta do that up. Like they say.
You only do 2 days.
Then you go in,
Come out.
you know. I did 14 years. Well, yeah, you did your little stretch, true. But you still a soldier, right? You know them towers that came down now, huh? The terrace, the Murphy homes, all that shit going, man. A lot of things is different now since you've been up in here. You'll see.
A lot of changes.
Yeah, no doubt. But I mean, you know, shit, some things just stay the same, man. I mean, the game is the game. And the thing is, since the towers are gone, I'm gonna need to take my thing to some new places. You feel me? You know I'm gonna be home soon enough, right? Yeah, first parole here and I'm out. For real. Shit is fixed right. I come home. It's gonna be a little hell to be paid, you know what I mean? A good soldier ain't gonna lack for work. Take that number. I'm not before. We'll hook you up, no problem. It's like coming home, baby. Alright? Call it.
America is truly a frightening country.